We have a great conversation in store for everybody this evening. Before we get started, if you do us a favor, be sure that you slam that like button and give us a subscribe if you haven't already. That way you could keep up with everything going on.
Let's go ahead and let everybody know you're from Waco 92, past
Yep,
master Waco 92,
that's right.
and you're current district deputy grand master, right worshipful Dave McHam.
And I'll say this
Si,
before we
senor.
really get going. If you're in community distance of Waco, definitely check out Waco 92 on one of their meeting nights or one of their degree nights. They're doing great things there. It's a fantastic lodge, great bunch of brothers. I go there as often as I can. It's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, we're always
Absolutely.
Justin. Second Thursday of every month is the stated meeting. So
Yeah. And then once a year they have a festive board, which is awesome.
The festive board is, I mean, there's only been two, but they've all been fantastic. The backyard has always been a great time. And
Yes, we always
I
go
don't
to the
know,
backyard.
I don't know how you did it, but that rat that y'all cooked last year at Grand Lodge, beautiful.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
it tasted.
Mwah!
you know, still learn how to cook a rat just right, and we worked on it quite a bit, and we perfected the recipe. So get ready this year because the quality.
Okay, Dave, I'll let you go ahead and take over.
Yeah. So I a few years ago, my daughter was in cheer, and we would travel all over the state to take her to these cheer competitions. Well, I noticed that across the street at every cheer competition was this like temporary merchandise shop that would just pop up at the location during that competition and then close down. And they called them
Yes.
pop-up. And it was kind of neat because some of that stuff that they would sell there, you could only see it like in magazines or, they didn't sell them in Waco, Texas, and so some of that specialty cheer equipment, like the shoes and stuff. And so it was kind of neat to go there, try it on, talk to the people who make it. And so I got to thinking, one year at Grand Lodge, I was down in the basement, and you get to buy all the cool stuff that's down in the basement. And I highly encourage everybody to buy all that stuff because it supports the
Absolutely.
Grand Lodge, So I definitely not trying to take anything away from that. But I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if some of the stuff that we see all over the internet, right? All over the Texas Freemasons page, all these cool guys that are making great stuff. And we don't get to shop it. You don't get to like hold it or talk to the people who made it or try it on if the case may be. So I kind of got the idea a few years ago, and it took me a couple of years to kind of get it together. But I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited because some of these guys are just genuine brothers who have applied their talents to make some beautiful art in some cases, apparel,
Yes.
useful items that we can use in the fraternity, like your apron cases, Dennis, that are just awesome. That you don't get to see, except for online and when it's delivered, and how cool would it be to go there and check one out, open it up, and see the dimensions and the weight and everything like that. So I got busy and I kind of talked to I kind of used Tom at Fossil Bluff, Tom McGuire. If you don't know, Tom McGuire is one of the most wonderful human beings in the whole world. He likes to call it. He says, I don't like to sell stuff. I like to make stuff. So
he's a maker.
He's a maker. So
yes.
He's the one who kind of helped guide me in the right direction and kind of get things kicked off. He was like, here's what you kind of want to look out for. You don't want to do these things. And then just kind of gave me a list of people to contact and ask them if they'd be willing to show up. And, some of the people on the list were from Canada and New York. And we got a guy coming from Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, to my surprise, almost everybody that I contacted was a resounding yes. When can I show up? How do I participate? And so I hustled up and found a place that's kind of across the street from Grand Lodge, just to the left. So if you walk out the front porch of the Grand Lodge and you look to the left, there's a long building there that's just across the street from the blue house that's there on the corner of Grand Lodge.
Right.
We kind of call that the Fort Worth 148 house, right?
Yeah, the one everybody wants to park at, but nobody can.
Yeah, that's right. So right across the street from that house is a place called the Nexus Esports Center. And so I just stumbled in there one day and I asked them, what's the possibility of renting this place out for 2.5 days? So it'll be Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday up to about 3 o'clock. And they were like, yeah, bring it on. So they were more than happy to let us use the space. Excuse me, just getting over a cold. So they were more than happy to let us use the space. And so it just kind of grew from there. And we just started getting more and more vendors, more and more people willing to show up. And then really cool thing happened. Craig Enderly, who's the head of the Internet Committee of the Grand Lodge of Texas, said, hey, pretty cool. I think I'd like to do a live broadcast from there, kind of like a pre-game and a post-game show for the Grand Lodge of Texas. I think that would be really cool. Can I do it from there? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And it's cool because they do. So Nexus Esports Center is a place where they play video sports games. And it's kind of a little weird, but they do a pregame and a postgame show there. So they already have a set with desks.
Wow.
It's all set up perfectly for exactly what we want. And it just kind of came together where it's all been pretty cool. It's all coming together. And I think it's going to be a fun time. And I'm looking forward to everybody getting an opportunity to, share in everybody who's coming, getting to share their products and getting just a network and for people to have an opportunity to purchase some really cool things.
Man, that's exciting. Grand Lodge always sells their stuff, but there's a lot of products that they don't offer.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of brothers that offer some really good stuff like you're talking about. I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about it.
Man, awesome idea. Awesome idea, Dave. That's
I like talking to Tom at Fossil Bluff. I know I'm using him a lot, but he's the one that kind of inspired me to kind of do all this. And I just always hated it that we would go to Grand Lodge and I can't buy his stuff, and so every time I would buy something from him, he would go into the most in-depth story of how he made it, and I loved it. Like he gave
right.
He gave, yeah, I got this paperweight from him. That's just the most beautiful paperweight. He sells them on his website, and they just look incredible in person. And he went through the whole story of how he made it, and I was just fascinated by the process. And and I thought, man, I bet a lot of people go online, they buy his paperweight because it's cool, but they don't understand like all the blood, sweat, and tears that and the subtle things that he'll point out that make it great, just make it a great piece. And I'm sure the same as with your apron case. People go online, they see the picture, they buy it, but they don't really know how cool they are until they hold one. I got to carry Justin Duty's or Right Worshipful Duty's apron case to the Grand Lodge after the festival board. Man, I was just drooling over the thing the whole time I was carrying it up there. It was just a great looking case. And I was thinking, wow, you don't really get to realize how cool they are until you hold it in your hands and carry it, like an apron case. And that thing's cool, right? And so I think a lot of people will be happy to come and physically put your hands on the products and actually hold them. Really excited. A late addition to the pop-up shop is Brother Mickey with his railroad knives.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to have any inventory with him because the poor guy is working so hard. Is
he going to bring his anvil?
Yeah. I don't think he can crank them out fast enough to bring an inventory.
Right.
He's going to have a couple of examples with him. So you can actually hold it, pick it up and touch it. And if you haven't held one in your hands, man, they're really cool. I think a lot of people, I think he's going to get a lot of sales off of that. Poor guy's arm's going to probably fall off beating on those things. But I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that he'll be a late addition to it because I really wanted him to be there. Those knives are really popular. So
Yes.
super about it.
Nice.
And he not only makes knives, he makes swords also. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
He
He's a
makes
blade.
a wide range. Yeah, he makes a wide range of different products, and we don't know it because he's usually selling the knives, right? And those railroad ties knives are just badass. I mean,
Oh, they're so cool. Yeah, there's
who would ever thought of that? I mean, that's just the coolest thing.
that's
You know,
just and you really don't understand. You can't. I don't know if you haven't held one in your hands. It's just way more impressive when you hold one than when you see it
dude,
on.
they got some weight.
They do.
Yeah, they got some weight.
They got some weight to them. So I'm really
And
excited. I think a lot. I hope a lot of will appreciate that aspect of the pop up shop. Just getting to see stuff that we see online all year long, and you're like, man, I'd really like to hold that or touch that, or you know, I've heard from other people, you know, who are like, you know, boy, I don't know if I could pay that much for that product, and I'm like, well, if you've ever seen it in person, though, you'll know it's worth it, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
right.
I think people will see the value in the price that people are asking for their products when they see it in person, because that value just comes through in the quality of the product. And so I'm really happy that all these guys are showing up, and I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be a good time. I really hope everybody enjoys it. And that's just one of the really cool products that are going to be there. Hireman Solomon Cigars have agreed to come. They're going to set up not only
Nice.
at the pop-up shop, but also we've offered everybody that's coming to the pop-up shop, we've offered them a space at the Masonic concert to also set up if they'd like to.
Nice.
So they get two opportunities with maybe guys don't have a chance to come over to the pop-up shop. Maybe they're in session the whole time and they don't get to come across the street, or for whatever reason, but they end up at the concert. So the vendors will be able to have an opportunity there to set up as well at the concert and sell as well. So,
Dennis, do you have a booth?
Yes.
Nice. So
and we will also be there. Yes.
I think I'll take my tripod and we'll do some live streaming. People can come up and talk about their products if they want to.
Yeah, so we're going to be there at various times, and when I'm there, I also as Masonic Improvement, I want to promote these other Masons. You know,
Yep.
we're all about promoting brothers. You know, so we're going to make sure and do clips of these guys and these brothers and their products, and that way we can promote them on our website for our listeners, and help these brothers out as well. So it's
It's
really
a good
gonna
time. So you're almost done with your year as district deputy, huh?
I am sad to say. I really enjoyed it. It's probably the best year of masonry I've ever experienced. So I'm really it's bittersweet. I know
yeah.
I know that it's a 12-month appointment, you know, and you get your opportunity to serve. And you know, I know, as well as I watched Right Worshipful Yates serve, and I know both of us put our whole hearts into it, and we tried to do the best we could to represent our districts and Grand Lodge of
Yes.
Texas, our Grand Master Billings.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm glad I carried it. I'm glad I carried the football. I hope I did a good job. I'm sad that it's over, but man, I'm just really happy I got to do it. It was really cool.
But you know, we got to share so many cool moments together, and not only with us and our families. You know, our families, the girls love each other now, and you know that's the beauty of all these big events, right? You know, our families come with us because they're so big. You're not just shuffling for half a day and then coming home. So our families come with us and they spend time, and then the families get to know each other.
That's
And
right.
so then it really becomes cemented into who we are as people. We are a Freemason community, not just a fraternity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd always heard from Robert Marshall that one of the best things about Masonry is the travel. You know, we're traveling, right? And I used to think, well, I don't have that kind of, I don't have the time, I don't have the money to travel. this year, I just said, let's just do it. Let's just travel a couple of times and see how it goes. And it was so enjoyable. Like you said, I've made some friendships this year with people across the state that, they're quickly my very best friends in the whole world. And,
Yes.
and that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't just, wandered outside of Waco and went to a couple of these events, and it just kind of snowballed to where, I ended up going to every single conference across the state. I didn't miss one.
Right.
It was just it was so, I think, Most Worshipful said it the best. He said, I wanted to create a fear of missing out if people didn't come.
Mhm.
And he did that. He did that. So there
Yes,
was
he did.
I would see something coming up on the calendar, and I'd be like, man, we just got back from Lubbock, but let's load up the truck. I don't want to miss it. So we go. And it was
Travel doesn't sound exciting, right? And we talk a lot about the importance of travel on the show, and I really don't think either. It's one of those things, either you know it or you don't, and the only way to really know it is to experience it firsthand, right? And I'm not talking about maybe just visiting one lodge, right? I'm talking about getting out there, going to like grand lodge events, go to OLT, go into forums, and like Dave, when we all went to West and conferred that degree, I mean that was a great time.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was
great time.
and that was a shared experience. Like all the guys at Hillsboro, all the guys from Waco that went, it was a shared experience that we all had.
Yeah.
And I'm really emphasizing this because I know of a lodge, like it's not healthy, but they're isolationist. Like you can't get them out of their comfort zone. You can't get them out of town to go to other lodges.
Yeah.
And I think that's really part of what has transformed Hillsboro is that we travel together, we go together. Like I brought my brothers as many as I can to like y'all's festive board, and I drag
Yeah.
as many of them as I can to Grand Lodge and to Hillcrest. I try to get them to see experiences that they wouldn't have if they just stayed in Hillsboro, Texas, and that strengthens our bonds, I think. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about, getting out and traveling with all these district deputies, I mean, you have bonds with your other right worshippers that probably didn't exist before we started this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, my fellow right worshipful here, I mean, I always knew Dennis Yates, and I know Dennis Yates knew me, but we weren't as close as we were until this year. And it's just like he said, our families got together and we started hanging out more, and you just find those commonalities and then, we always have that mystic tie that bonds us together. And it just makes this, I don't know, this very special friendship that can't be compared to anything else. And that's
Exactly right.
one of the very true things about Masonry is just that that togetherness that we share. Once you kind of get beyond just that brother you see at lodge on a particular night, and you traveled together across the state, it just becomes something that's a whole lot more special, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about the master's wages, right? I mean, you travel for your master's wages, and when you do that, you're absolutely right, and it's something that I've preached before, and I will continue to preach, is that it's those shared experiences that create those bonds, right? That's what really brings it home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you said, we've known each other and actually done cool things together. I mean, I went to the museum that year. Y'all had the museum when you were worshipful master. You were a badass worshipful master, and I just had to be a part of it. So I went to the museum that year and all that kind of stuff. But really spending the time with you, traveling and experiencing new things together, that's what it's all about. And that's
Well, I think a lodge grows stagnant if it doesn't travel. I think they get in kind of a rut. Like Waco does great things. Waco has great things going on, and that's why I try to take as many brothers as I can to Waco Lodge. because they do things differently than we do at Hillsboro. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and I'm not suggesting that we have to adopt everything Waco does, but it opens our mind. Waco, even though lodge is set up different than probably 99% of lodges, because it's like a mirror image of what traditional most lodges are. And
Backwards.
so yeah, it's backwards. And so it really forces them to think like, hey, this is how they're adapting to the circumstance of the lodge room, and like I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but y'all do some very interesting things during your degrees. And so and same thing with Hillcrest. Like Hillcrest has a beautiful lodge. They got a flipping bookcase that is a secret door. I mean, that's what you'd expect in a Masonic lodge when you're not a member.
Why do you want to
take secret doors? Right. So
there goes that secret. There goes that secret.
So taking people to see these things, it's very impactful.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think one of the best things about traveling all over the state, going to different lodges, is exactly what you said. Just seeing how they do things in a particular way and taking that back and seeing if you can apply it in your lodge and see if it doesn't enhance the atmosphere of the meeting time, the atmosphere of the initiation. So I think all of those things are just really cool to see. One of the really cool lodge rooms that we went to this year, we got to sit in lodge with Brother Art de Hoyos at Grapevine Lodge, which is
that's a cool lodge.
moment. But I don't know if you noticed, Dennis, all the paintings around the walls, all the murals on the walls.
Yes, and that's one of their members.
Yeah, and a member did that. Yeah, and I got pictures. It just really inspired me. Like, what I would have never thought to paint the walls to enhance the lodge room's appearance, but just what a one talented mason and a couple of samples of paint, and he transformed that room in a way that was just inspiring, and in a way, it looks like every other lodge room in the state, which isn't a bad thing because our lodge rooms are beautiful, but he really took it to a whole nother level by just using his talent. And I'm sure it took a lot of time. I mean, those were very intricate murals, but I'm sure it was I'm sure it wasn't a very costly upgrade. Besides his time, which is probably worth more than anybody can pay for,
but paint's cheap.
Things, right?
Yeah,
I've seen
cheap. So
I have seen. You say Grapevine Lodge?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't seen their lodge room, but I have seen lodge rooms where they have done murals, and it is well worth it. I mean, it transforms the whole area there. I mean, it's well worth it.
Just the all-seeing eye that Goliad painted in their lodge room, boy,
it made all the difference.
Oh my gosh, that thing looks so cool. I mean, it looks like it's been years. It looks like it's been there as long as the building's been there, which is just the thing, is to put that kind of style of artwork. And they would throw it off if it was modern, right? But they did the right thing and put one in there that looks like it's been there since the building was built.
I've learned so many things from traveling, even as a officer leadership trainer with the education committee. I learned stuff from our folks that we were talking to, just through the back and forth. There were so many things that we got to learn from them as to what they're doing in their lodges that, man, we've spouted them off several times on our show, trying to promote doing those things because they're just so awesome. It's how we sharpen ourselves. It's how we make ourselves better.
Yep, that's true.
I would really like to visit 92 as well as your sister lodge over there in Waco, and
what's the sister lodge?
So I'm also a member of James H. Lockwood. So they're actually the ones who are sponsoring the pop-up shop. So James H. Lockwood Lodge. We meet now in the Karam Shrine.
Okay.
Yeah, and so James H. Lockwood is just a great lodge, full of a lot of great brothers, and you get a real sense of brotherly love when you're there. you know, every lodge has their different flavor, and
Right.
you know, it's just a different a feel than 92. But just a feel good lodge. When you leave, you just feel like you had a good time with some good brothers. So
Yes.
yeah, it's an interesting thing for everybody who's traveling to Waco for Grand Lodge. Waco wouldn't exist if it were not for Freemasonry. There would be no Waco. Um, and I'll butcher this story because Robert can tell it way better than I can. But in the early days,
But you're here.
I'm here. Uh, Back in the early days, before Waco was a community, it was just a village of Waco Indians, and a rancher named Claiborne Varner moved out here and convinced Robert Goodnight to bring the Goodnight Loving Trail through Waco. And had he not done that, both Freemasons, by the way, had he not done that, Waco would not be here. It would not be a community. And it was because they brought the cattle trail through there that a town sprung up around this natural spring that we've got that flows through Waco. And here we are. And that, you know, Waco built the Masons of Waco built the courthouse. They built, you know, everything. They convinced uh, 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 they convinced the county to make Waco the county seat. So everything about Waco wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Freemasonry. And so I think that's a really cool thing to think about when you can. I know it's a kind of a long drive for some of you guys to come all the way to Waco, and you think, why Waco? And I think it's the coolest thing is because it really wouldn't exist if it wasn't for us. Like Freemasons, it wouldn't exist. And it's a really cool thing for us to come here once a year and come to a town that was built by us, you know, by Freemasons, by our ancestors. And it's I always find it inspirational when you guys come to town. It's like, our the guys who came before us, they built this town, and they would be really proud of us for meeting here. And I think it's really cool.
Well, it's I mean, you could even extrapolate that. I mean, you have a town that was founded and built by Masons in a state that, I mean, the Republic of Texas, all the leadership were Masons.
Yeah.
In a country where, I mean, the revolution was spearheaded by Masons. So it's
and
a world without Masons
Masons
would be very different. We were once much more proactive in our local communities, and then because you're talking about Waco, like all the things that the Masons there built, and that's not unique, right? Like we built a lot of things in a lot of towns.
That's right.
At one point, and now we have to get back to that. I think we have to get back to being involved and being a force for good.
That's why we're not relevant
in our communities. Well, yeah.
That's why we lost our relevance.
I think I've pondered on this a few times, and I think one of the more important things is we get focused on numbers, right?
Yep.
And a lot of our time we get mired down in numbers. But I think what we really need to do is not so much maybe focus on numbers. I attended this the Winding Stairs this year with Most Worshipful here in Waco, and he brought some members of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina in, and they were talking about how
the middle chamber,
and they were talking about how the numbers and Freemasonry existed along a line for a very long time, and then we saw this bubble through World War I and World War II, and that it seems that we're coming down to the numbers that existed before that bubble. And so maybe it's not that we're seeing a bunch of people leave Masonry. Maybe we're just seeing a return to the actual numbers that we should have given a population. And so
I agree.
There's some arguments to that, but I think what most importantly we should be focused on instead of numbers is actions. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yes.
And so so I think the most important thing that a lodge could do is just focus on just like what Robert does, right? Grab a couple of projects that you can do and really do them well, right?
Yeah.
Do the board, do the concert, really do them well. And there's other lodges who are doing the exact same thing. Robert Burns Lodge, which has that awesome festive board. they're doing one thing, but they do it really well, and it impacts the community every single time they do it, because they march Masons led by bagpipes through a crowded downtown area, through a restaurant full of people, through a bar, up to a private room. Everybody in there is with their cell phones out, and they're doing a good job. They're doing it well. This year, we got to go down to Goliad, see the reenactment, and Dennis had a little picnic for us afterwards. It's a small thing, but he did it well, and it's something that I'm going to look forward to coming to every single year, because that was a cool thing, right? And it's those doing those little things that get us all out in public and get us out in front of people and doing those well, and those things lead to opportunities to be active in your community.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they see us moving around, and people will invite you to things and show up, do things well. And through that, you're going to get more opportunities to be in more places of influence. Before you know it, we're back to doing the things that we used to do. We just have to get busy doing them. We spend too much time waiting for everybody to show up to do it when we're here. We just need to get busy and do it.
It's hard to imagine brothers like George Washington or Benjamin Franklin or Voltaire or Isaac Newton, any of these guys wringing their hands and worrying about membership numbers, right? They're too busy being active. They're too busy doing, too busy providing value. And I exactly like what you're talking about. I think as worshipful masters and as Masons in our community, we need to worry less about how many people show up and more about, are we providing value? And I think if we provide the value in the lodge, Masons will show up. I think if we provide the value in the community, people will petition.
That's something that we just don't see anymore. And it requires us to, and not every brother has to step out and stop working or whatever and do something crazy, like that, but they can support it. It can be the lodge that supports the action. That's what we're missing today, I think.
Well, we were the city council people. We were the mayors. We were on all the committees. There's too many towns, and I'm not trying to get political here, but there's too many towns where we're not involved with, right? And so it's hard to see an opportunity when you're not there to recognize an opportunity, if that makes sense, to help. Because I mean, there's absolutely no reason, like if there's a historic building or something that is in need of repair or funds, I mean, that's the kind of project that I think we should get behind as Masons. Like, let's raise money for it. Like, that's the kind of fundraiser I'd get behind. I think that'd be great.
Exactly.
But yeah, just there was I was talking to a brother, and because a lot of lodges, they'll do fish fries and barbecue and stuff to raise money to pay bills. Well, if you're selling food to pay your bills, you're a restaurant. I mean, that's basically what you are. You're a restaurant, right? And so unless you're allocating for like charitable funds or something like that. But if you're saying, hey, this is all going towards the historic city hall or something like that, we're gonna repair that and make it nice again. Or
I think maybe we have an opportunity because we are gifted in Freemasonry with a lot of leadership lessons, and so we are a group of leaders. We get the opportunity to lead a lodge. Each one of us that get lucky enough to ascend to the east of their lodge, we get to lead a team of men in a direction. We get to lead a lodge. We get to create a budget and see the intricacies of keeping to a budget. What it's like basically to run a small nonprofit. We get a lot of rich experience in leadership, and I think that's why in the past, in history, they reached out to us because of the natural leadership qualities that were taught through the lessons of Freemasonry and through ascending through the chairs at our lodge. And so I think we just really just need to get back to using those talents that are given to us through Freemasonry in our communities.
Absolutely.
And it just takes one guy at the lodge to go, come on, I think we can do this. And if you guys will help me, we'll start. And it might fail the first time, right? If you fail, I think the most important thing is just showing up. And that's something that I don't want to brag on them too much, but what Waco 92 does well is they've got a great group of guys that show up. And and I'm talking about like Brother Charlie Barker and Brother Paul Kirchwright. Of course, Robert Marshall's always there. I think we keep him chained to the desk. We don't let him go. You got Nas Mustakim, who is always there. Worshipful Master Gillespie. Those guys, when you come up with a crazy idea, they show up and
your stewards are usually really on point too.
Yes. Yeah, we call him the Cajun Flash. His name is Mad Hook, and he's not the steward. He's actually the senior deacon, but he just loves to cook. So he gets in the kitchen, up his sleeves, and man, sometimes you'll show up on a work night, and he'll have some of the most exotic cuisine you've ever heard of, but it's always delicious, and it's really good. So. And I know there's a lot of lodges just like that all across the state, and they got these core group of guys who just show up, and all it takes is one guy to come up with an idea that'll impact your community or impact your lodge or impact Masonry as a whole, and just has one idea. And if we can just get guys to show up and just be like, hey, I want to help with that. I think it'll change. I think we can stop focusing on the members that we don't have and just start focusing on the work that we have in front of us to do, because we're given
exactly right.
Really cool working tools to use on all these projects. And all we have to do is just apply them, and deal with people squarely and focus on our upright conduct while we're in front of the community, and just use all those working tools as Masons, and then just use our leadership skills that we're taught along the way, and just show up and do. And I think if we do that, we will be a different fraternity.
I think at this time it'd be a good opportunity to go ahead and go into final thoughts.
Well, yeah, if I can take the opportunity to thank a few people who really helped me out this year. One of them was my brother Ryan Durker at Waco 92. Very helpful. I mentioned him already. Brian Broadway was extremely helpful this year. District instructor Doug Fitzgerald for District 61C. He's also the guy who takes the Grandmaster's picture every year. He's I have a really good dad, but if I didn't have a dad, I'd want Doug to be my dad. That guy is awesome. And if you don't get a chance to, if you don't know him, please take the opportunity to try to find him at Grand Lodge. He'll be there. Doug Fitzgerald is an awesome man. Also would be remiss if I didn't thank my wife and my daughter Eva for traveling across.
They're great.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Worshipful Craig Enderly for his guidance this year, being our rock when we had questions or needed.
He has been.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Grand Tyler, Corey Harris, for just being a solid friend to not only to me but my family. Just an awesome dude. And then can't not thank our most worshipful Brad Billings for the honor to serve as District Deputy Grand Master of Masonic District 61C, which has been the highest honor as a Freemason that I've gotten to do. So, and lastly, you two guys for having me on tonight. Really appreciate your help getting the word out about the pop-up shop, and just a great discussion. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you for all you
Thank
do.
you. Thank you. You filled our void, man. No, just kidding.
Dennis, you have anything you'd like to say? I'll let you go first so we don't forget you this time.
I would like to say that, Dave, right worshipful, it's just been a wonderful year. And yeah, your you and your whole family has just made it beautiful. And that the one thing that I am petrified of, petrified, not tetrified, petrified of, is our wives being together too long. I could get in serious trouble. But our girls love each other, so that's, man, that was so beautiful seeing that relationship develop. And knowing that that's going to happen going forward for years to come. I was thinking about that today, that our, we have, she does Girl Scouts and gymnastics and all that kind of stuff. But if we move, those girls are gone away. But the family that we built in Freemasonry with you guys and many others, it will never go away, because we'll always see you. We'll always be able to hang out together. We'll have those opportunities, and so those will be lifelong relationships that we'll have, until we're gone. And that's, that really has touched me this year, seeing the love between the families, and
That's
I
funny. It's funny you say that, because you got to forgive me because I don't remember your little girl's name, but my daughter asks about your daughter sometimes. She's like, "Where are we going? I get to see her again. We're gonna
yeah,
play."
Sarah does too, and she does the same thing with all the boys, or the boys and the girls. So it's awesome. That's been one of the most precious things to me, is that. And the other thing is the travel, and getting to be a part of such big things,
Yeah.
big things that cannot be denied. It's just, yeah, I was
Yeah.
there. I was there. That's the I think that instead of saying in my year, I should just say
Wow.
I was there.
This has been a Masonic year for the history books, and I think we
It
will say
has.
we were there for quite a while.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've seen, brothers that were completely against Brad starting this year, but then now they're thinking it was the best year they've ever seen. I'm talking about 80-year-old brothers that were like that. So no stone went unturned, and nobody was untouched, because we were inspired, and we could see what Freemasonry can be for us personally, as well as out and about. So that I just to jump onto that with you, I would like to say that I'll probably reiterate it when we do our wrap up in Waco. I'd like to remind everybody in Waco to pay attention, because in Waco we are going to announce our big event that's coming in 2023, and it's a huge one.
That's this year.
Oh, that's this year.
Gosh.
And the cool thing is that, after, I've cut my teeth on Goliad, right? Planning that and getting it all together. We're gonna do it again. That just made me confident. I had my brothers around to help me get it done, and it built the confidence. So now we're gonna do something. Justin and I are gonna do something real big, and I'm hoping you come down for it. And I'll tell you as soon as we finish recording. But we're gonna announce it at Grand Lodge, so everybody should be listening on the 21st, 22nd of this month, because we're going to announce it then. It's going to be big. The other thing I wanted, huge, besides that, from the other things that we've talked about tonight, if you're not getting the things that you're looking for in Freemasonry, travel. And if you feel like you're on an island and you can't get off that island, give us a holler, because we know people like Dave, and we know people that do travel, and we can help you find the lodges that do the things that you like to do, that you find fun in Freemasonry, because it should be fun. It should be fun, so that you'll want to do more. And so, whatever you do, stay in and travel, whatever you do. That's my takeaway.
Thank you both again for your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing both of you in a few weeks at Grand Lodge.